for any fall video, you have to set the stage. So we've got our tea. You need tea, it's peach tea, it's my favorite. We got our cord slips, and we have a huge tub of yarn ready to go. What's up guys, it's Amelia. Welcome back to my channel and happy Wednesday. So guys, it is fall. We've talked about this. I absolutely love fall. It's my favorite season. I love everything about it. I love cozy sweatshirt. This one is amazing because it's Taylor Swift, and my amazing fiance bought it for me because he's amazing, and I can say amazing more times than that too. But the most amazing season is fall. I thought it would be really fun today to do some crocheted coaster themed for fall, and actually my air conditioning comes on every time I try to make a video. I have no explanation. Today I'm gonna show you 3 patterns. One of them I found on Ravelry.com and I kind of modified it, but I'm gonna link the original pattern below. And then the next 2 patterns I'm just gonna make up freehand, and those are mine. So I'm gonna post all of the instructions down here at the bottom of the screen so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll explain all the stitches as I go. So if you've never crocheted before, don't worry, I'll help you through every step. And if you have any questions about the pattern, just comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible to help you with any problems that you have. So let's get into these 3 crocheted coaster fall themed patterns. So what you need for these patterns is, of course, yarn of your choice, and you're going to need a crochet hook. I like to use the G hook. So our first pattern is going to be this absolutely adorable little mug coaster. It is so cute, and I don't know, it just really makes me think of fall and coziness, and I just think it's so cute to have a cup of tea on a cup of tea. I don't know. I think it's adorable. The first thing that we're going to do is take our red yarn, which is the color for our mug, and we're going to make a slip knot to start our crocheting. So I wrap it around 2 fingers, go underneath and hold that loop, go back and pull the tail, and that makes a slip knot. And then you can pull on this little tail to change the size of the loop, and we're just gonna put our hook through the loop. First step is 7 chains. So a chain is just where you yarn over and then pull through the loop. For the first row, we're going to stitch across, and you're going to skip the last chain that you did because it kind of acts as like a little turning piece. So we're only gonna have 6 stitches across, and you can see here, this is the 6th chain. So what you wanna do is go underneath of the top 2 strings and above the bottom one. So all you do for a single crochet is go through the stitch, yarn over, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through. So that's just called a single crochet, and it's the basic stitch that you use in most patterns. So you're gonna do 6 of those across. At the end of the row, you chain 1, and then you turn your crocheting around. For row 2, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets into this first stitch, then 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches, and then on the last stitch, stitch 2 single crochets again, so that we're growing the sides to be the side of the mug. At the end of this row, you're going to chain 1 and turn it again. Now we have 8 stitches across. For row 3, we're gonna stitch 1 stitch in each stitch across, so we have 8 stitches, and then you're gonna chain 1 again and turn it. For row 4, we're gonna repeat the pattern that we did for row 2, where we're gonna stitch 2 single crochets in this first stitch, then we're gonna stitch 6 across regularly, and then in this last stitch, 2 again to keep making it go out. Now we have 10 stitches across. For row 6, we're just gonna stitch 1 stitch in each stitch across, so we have 10 stitches. Now stitch 2 single crochets in this first one, normally across, and then 2 single crochets in the last one, so you'll have 12 stitches all the way across. Okay, we just finished row 6. So now for rows 7 to 11, we're just gonna stitch 1 stitch in each stitch across, chain 1, then turn for all those rows to create the height for our mug. And when you're done with all of those rows, you're going to chain 2 stitches. For the next row, we're going to do some more fancy stitches, and I always get these confused, so I just had to look up how to do them again because I know how to do them, but I forget the names. So the first thing we're gonna do is a double crochet, which I always get confused with the half double crochet, which we're also gonna do. So this video will clear that up for everybody, myself included. I have my 2 chains here, and I'm going to yarn over before going into my stitch, where I yarn over again, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through first 2 loops, and then you yarn over again and pull it through those 2 loops. And that's how you do a double crochet. Then we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. You yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over again, and then pull through those 3 loops. So that's technically a half double crochet. I call that a double crochet all the time. Honestly, it doesn't matter. matter unless you're following a pattern, and then it does, so I guess it does matter, but then you're just gonna stitch 8 stitches across, and then in this second to last stitch you're gonna do the half double crochet, and then in the last stitch you're going to do the double crochet, and I'll show you those again. Here is the half double crochet. Yarn over, go through your stitch, yarn over again, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Next one is going to be the double crochet. Yarn over, go through your stitch, yarn over again, pull through the first 2 loops, still have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through those. Now we are going to drop this color and fasten it off and do the brown tea color. So you can just go ahead and snip your thread and pull it through. Okay, now get your brown yarn for your tee and go ahead and make your little slip knot. Go through the last stitch that you made, pull it through, and then chain 1 and then turn. The first row for this is going to be 2 single crochets in the first 2 stitches and then a half double crochet. Then we're going to do a double crochet, and if you remember, that's yarn over through the stitch, yarn over, back through, yarn over through the first 2 loops, yarn over again, and through the next 2. So do that 6 times. Also, a little trick that I'm doing to help weave in this piece that I'd cut off, I'm stitching over it, and that just weaves it in for you, and then you don't have to worry about doing that later. Now you do the half double crochet in the third to last stitch, and then just 2 regular single crochets into the last 2 stitches. Now that's all the brown yarn you're gonna need, so you can go ahead and cut that off. Get another piece of your red yarn and attach it, just like we did with the brown. The pattern says slip stitch across the top of the brown in the back loops only. So if you look at the stitches, you can see that there is a front loop and a back loop. So we're going to stitch only in the back loops of the stitch. You can see that there are 2 loops, and we're going to go into only the back loop, and you're going to slip stitch, which just means that you yarn over and then pull it through, and you're going to do that all the way across the top of the brown. It turned out a little different from my ones before. I modified the pattern a bit more with the first ones, so I think if you wanted it to look a bit more like this, what I did was, instead of slip stitching across, I actually did a row of stitches across. I did decide to go back and add another row on the top because I think it looks a little cuter this way, so that is totally an option. I just slip stitched here on the side and then stitched all the way across and then tied it off. So once you're done with that, this is what your mug is going to look like, and this is the back. So you can see we stitched through the back loop. So now this part is really fun. You're just going to single crochet all the way around the entire thing until you get back to right here. And then you're just going to slip stitch and tie it off, and then we're going to make the handle. At the end, it should look like this. It has a really nice finished edges. Just in case you've never woven in ends of your crocheting, you just use a little yarn needle and then go through the same color that you're weaving in, and you just put your needle through so that it's not coming through the back. Just kind of hide the extra yarn. For your handle, slip stitch into the side. I think I wanted to go up and attach up here near the top, chain 12, and then you're going to slip stitch right in the top of the mug here. Half double crochet around the chains, not into the chains. So you're going to yarn over, go underneath of the chains, yarn over again, and then pull through those 3 loops. And you're just going to do that around the chains, not through them. I don't know the exact number of the stitches you're going to need. It depends on how loosely or tightly you stitch, but just keep going until it looks nice and tight together like this handle. Okay, I did about 12 stitches, slip stitch back into the mug, and I'm going to do a couple slip stitches and then tie off all of your strings. Next one that we're gonna make is a really cute pumpkin coaster. Make a slip knot with our orange yarn, and then we're gonna chain 2. So to start crocheting in a circle, a lot of people use a magic ring or something like that, but I like to just chain 2 and then stitch into the first chain that I made. So that's what I'm gonna do, but you can start it however you want. First row is just gonna be 6 single crochet stitches into this second chain. Row 2 is just gonna be 2 stitches in each stitch around, so that instead of 6 we have 12. For the third row, we're going to do an increase row. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets in the second stitch, and repeat that pattern all the way around until we have 18 stitches. And then it'll look like this. Next row, 1 single crochet and then 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the third stitch, and we're going to repeat that pattern around until we have 24 stitches. Next row is a continuation of that pattern. This time we're going to do 3 single crochets in a row before doing 2 single crochets into the fourth stitch, and then we're going to get 30 stitches all the way around. Another row where we do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets before doing 2 single crochets into the fifth stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around until we have 36 stitches. We're going to do another round where we do 5 single crochets in a row before doing 2 single crochets into the sixth stitch. Okay, for the very last row of the pumpkin, we're going to do a thicker border around the edge to make it more of the classic pumpkin shape. So the first thing you're going to do is 2 slip stitches, and then we're going to do 2 half double crochet stitches into the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to do 5 double crochets into the next 5 stitches. In the sixth stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets, and now we're going to do 5 double crochets again. And after those 5, on the sixth stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So your border should look like this. Now for the second half, we're going to begin with 2 slip stitches. And then we're going to do 3 double crochets. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Then we're mirroring the first half by doing 5 double crochets, 2 in the next stitch, 5 double crochets, and then 2 half double crochets. So then after those 2 half double crochets, we're going to do our 2 slip stitches. And then this is what your little pumpkin's going to look like. I like how it's not super symmetrical. It's a little organic, and I think it looks really cute. So we're just going to tie this off, and then we're going to make a little stem. Right underneath on the top of the pumpkin where I did the slip stitches, bring this slip knot through and then do a quick slip stitch to attach it. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into that same place where we attached the loop. And that's all you're gonna do to make a little stem. Okay, our pumpkin is done, and I really love how it looks. It definitely does have a little bit of an apple vibe, so you can totally do it in red or green and make little apple coasters too. I'm thinking that I want to make this into a little spooky coaster and do a jack-o'-lantern face on the front. I got my yarn needle and I got some black yarn, and we're just gonna go ahead and freehand stitch that on. So the first thing I did with the mouth is just do a rough outline, and now I'm going to fill it in with big stitches like I did with the eyes and the nose. And he is done. I love the way the jack-o'-lantern face turned out. It's so cute. It got very chaotic on the back where I was just kind of stitching all over the place, but that's okay because we're not going to see it. So I just did long stitches and I just went every which way that I needed to, mostly vertical for the mouth. So the next coaster that we're gonna do is a fall leaf coaster, and I'm gonna do something a little different and experiment with this one. So I'm using my 4 fall colors, orange, red, brown, and yellow, and we're gonna use all 4 of these strands to crochet with, which is gonna be pretty crazy. It's gonna be a chunky project. I'm using my biggest crochet hook, which is the size K, and you're just gonna do your slip knot with all 4 pieces of your yarn. So after you chain 10, you're gonna skip the first chain and stitch down in each stitch. So you're gonna have 9 stitches. So for this next row, you're gonna turn and you're going to stitch 7 single crochets across, just not stitching in the last 2 stitches, and then you're gonna chain 1 and turn. And now you're going to skip this first stitch and go straight into the second one and do a slip stitch. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. Okay, now we're gonna do the last little point on the end of the leaf, skip the first stitch, and in the second stitch we're going to do a half double crochet, and then in the next stitch a half double crochet, and then in the third stitch just do a regular slip stitch. And that is what this side will look like. So now you're gonna tie this off and we're going to start on this side. So holding your leaf piece like this, you're going to put your hook underneath of one of the chains that you made at the base and slip on a new slip knot of all 4 colors. And now we're kind of going to repeat that same pattern on this side. 7 single crochets across. Now, just like we did with the first half, we're gonna skip our first stitch and slip stitch into the second one, and then do 5 single crochets across, and then chain 1 and turn. Skip our first stitch and slip stitch into the second one, and then you're gonna do 4 single crochets. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn, and now we're gonna skip our first stitch and then do a half double crochet in the second stitch, another half double crochet, and then a slip stitch. I'm not going to weave in these tails right at the base. I'm actually going to knot it together to kind of create a stem. I just did all of my little artsy, look how beautiful, they're all done, wow, little shots, you know, to make them cute at the end. And the leaf is just not cutting it for me, guys. The other 2 are just so cute, and this one just isn't living up to its full potential. We're gonna change it. So I'm putting some brown yarn on my yarn needle, and I'm gonna knot the end and kind of stitch those veins that are in leaves, because I think that will help it just, you know, have a little bit more character, a little more oomph, you know. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you really enjoyed it and that you get a chance to make one of these coasters. And I will see you all next week for another video. And please leave any suggestions you have for any crocheting, crafting, thrifting, decorating videos, any of that stuff down below, because I love suggestions and I post videos every Wednesday, except for last Wednesday because it was fall break and I didn't have time to make one because it's also midterms. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next Wednesday for another video. Bye guys. Chico, you wanna send us off here? It kind of looks like an angelfish or something with these. If you don't wanna like have crocheted nuggets everywhere, coasters are fun and useful.